There we go. We're going to jump into today's conversation because not only are we going to have two special guests, but again, we're going to have some giveaways to really announce and some really fun activities actually that we're going to get into. And today's conversation, being mindful in the midst of chaos, it's kind of an important conversation to have, because the reality is that everyday life has lots of challenges. And so today's really to help you shift the way that you're coping with them. And I'm going to help you do that through two secret ingredients, and that's mindfulness and self-care. And I'm going to actually define what these are in a little bit, because these words are kind of common, right? We hear them all over nowadays. But before I actually do that, I'm just going to introduce myself for those of you who do not actually know me. My name is Rose and Emily combined, and I'm a mind-body vitality coach. I work with clients to help them think better so that they are feeling empowered and feeling optimistic. And I help them eat better so that they are feeling really good in their body, so that they have energy. And I help them move better, really navigating life in a way that is flexible, right? And really managing the stressors of life. And I do this through a number of ways, through one-on-one coaching. I do it through group coaching, kind of like this, or sometimes friends and family that want to get healthy together. And I also do it through corporate wellness. And I do all of this leveraging my certifications. Not only am I an integrative nutrition health coach, but I also studied emotional eating psychology and hormone health education, and a lot of neuroscience, as well as mindset hacking and how to overcome stress, anxiety, frustration, and so much more. So anyone who thinks that I have been a pro at stress for a really long time would be wrong. I do consider myself an expert at it now. However, I struggled with it for a really long time. Not only did I battle depression on and off many times, but I also dealt with a lot of problems saying no, for example, holding and setting up boundaries. Maybe you guys know about those things. And it's something that it interfered with my relationships, it interfered with my job, it interfered with everything, really. And it got to the point where I was literally crying in the shower every single day. It was my release. And so I was not good at coping with stress in any way. But luckily, through a lot of practice, I'm really good at it. And so I hope that offers you a little bit of hope, that there's always a way to grow, get better, do better for yourself as well. Hello to our virtual community on there. I'm just going to ask you please to stay on mute. You are welcome to use the chat feature as well and ask any questions throughout, which I can answer at the very end, FYI. So let's talk about mindfulness and self-care. Mindfulness is the quality or state of being conscious or aware about something, right? Self-care is the practice of taking an active role in protecting one's own well-being and happiness. These two are really the secret ingredient to wanting to cope with stress, because the point of wanting to get better, right? You actually have to know what you want to get better at. For example, you want to know what is the chaos that actually drives me to not feel in control or to not feel my best. And that requires a level of awareness. Awareness can be tricky because what it really requires is that you take yourself out of the situation for a moment. You not really pay attention to some of the feelings that are there, right? But you take yourself out and then you look in and you look at what is the situation that's happening right now, understanding all of the different components and getting really clear on, okay, got it, right? And once you have that mindfulness in place, now you can actually go ahead and practice the self-care. And self-care really requires that you're active on it. right? Active, from the word action. It requires that you actually take some sort of action in order to track yourself and how you're feeling and how you're coping. But the key word that I actually want you to remember in this one is practice, because it really does take practice. I mean, can you imagine brushing your teeth once and expecting for you to have really clean teeth by the end of the year? It just doesn't work that way, right? Same thing with exercise. You can't exercise once and expect to see certain results. It's no different when it comes to stress. You have to practice how it is that you're coping in order to get really good at it. Now, I pray for a world where we can actually make mental health as much, if not more, a priority like physical health. Now, unfortunately, society today kind of makes us sweep things under the rug, right? When we're feeling some type of way, maybe we're dealing with really toxic relationships and we stay in them a little too long, or maybe we have really busy schedules because we don't know how to say no, right? Yeah, great question. Yeah, you can definitely take pictures. Yeah, great question. Yeah, you can definitely take pictures. And so really we keep sweeping our emotions, keep ignoring, keep suppressing. Maybe we're eating our way to ignore them, or we're drinking our way to like forget about them, right? And unfortunately, all that does is create a bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger problem that's really surfacing. Now, why you want to make mental health a priority over anything else, because your mental health can actually impact your physical in many ways. And not just like the little like, oh man, my shoulders hurt, not just a headache. I'm talking about examples that have been studied. For example, if you're somebody who really challenges, who has challenges with speaking up, speaking your truth, right? Setting healthy boundaries, you can actually manifest things like throat problems, throat infections, down to even throat cancers. So it's very interesting the way that your mental health, the way that you think about stress, can actually manifest on the body. So you want to really prioritize your mental health, make it really important. Now, when it comes to really navigating the world of stress, there's one major component to keep in mind. This is really important. You can't fix a problem that does not belong to you. And I'm going to elaborate here. Can we control the families we're born into? We can, right? Holidays are around the corner. There's always that one person that you're like, I'm going to stay over here, right? You can't control that. You can't control who your boss decides to hire at work. And if you're the hiring manager, I don't know if you've been in this situation. I know I have. You hire that person that they were so amazing at the interview, and you don't know what happened like months later. Like, who is this person? It's not who I hired. So you really just don't have control over certain things. And even when it comes to your friendships and your relationships, you can't control how good or bad they are at handling at handling stress, right? You can't control how negative they are or how positive they are. You have no control over that, right? Now, what happens is that a situation happens, some sort of chaos happens between you and a person, and they behave or respond in a way that now upsets you. You can't take their inability to handle stress for yourself. It's not yours to take. It's not your problem to solve, right? So it's a really important component to really think about. And a good way to think about this is two different people, they both drop a wine glass. One of them might be like, all right, no problem, scoop it up, clean, done, and you forget about it the rest of the day, right? And then the other person might be really bothered by it, have a totally negative attitude the entire day because the wine glass broke. It's not your problem to solve. The way that somebody handles stress, right? They're going to project it to you. And it's one of the first places to kind of stop and understand, okay, it is not my fault. There's nothing that I could have said or done differently for them to have responded in a different way. So it's really one of the first pieces to really keep in mind. Now, on the other hand, right, looking at the other person or ourselves, it's important to remember that no one has the power to make you feel, behave, or react in a specific way. I'm going to say this one more time. No one has the power to make you feel, behave, or react in a specific way. And I know that this one can be really hard to hear, because if someone says something to you and it was mean or inappropriate or disrespectful, naturally you're like, they just made me feel that way, right? But let me explain just a quick little scenario here. It's a beautiful day. You have bright blue skies. It's gorgeous. And you just happen to say, wow, that sky looks so beautiful. I love how bright and blue the sky looks. And someone comes over and is like, I hate that shade of green in the sky right now. Like, it's blue, it's green. Like, what is your response to something like that? Right? She's like, maybe like, I'm concerned for you, right? That's how we think. Like, I'm concerned for you, or I'm confused. It's clearly not green, right? But now let's switch it up a little bit. You know this case to be absolutely true, and so there is no doubt in your mind that it's a them problem, it's not a you problem, right? What happens is that now, let's say it's holiday season, right? Families together, you haven't seen somebody in a really long time. Like, wow, you look like a lot's changed. And they say it in a way that's like, you can tell it's not very positive. Like, you look like you let yourself go. I don't know if you've had family members like this that are a little strongly opinionated, very frank, you know? But now suddenly you're offended. You're like, that was rude. What's really happening in this case is that something they're saying is triggering you, because there's a part of you, that good old limited belief that we sometimes hold in our mind, that believes that. There's a layer of truth there that we don't like to hear for ourselves. That's where it's really coming from. Because when you have no doubt, when you are so confident about yourself, no matter what somebody says to you, it does not interfere, does not cause internal conflict. There is no internal chaos. Somebody can tell me that I'm a horrible mother, that I'm a horrible coach, that I'm a horrible person, and I will be concerned for them because I know my truth. So really, when you're bothered by something that somebody says to you, what I really want you to do in this circumstance is to get curious, not furious. Specifically, I want you to get curious about what is making me feel this way. Now, these are 3 questions that I like to guide my clients through so that they start to really understand themselves. And this is part 1 of mindfulness. It really starts with number 1, you got to build awareness. What is bothering you? Well, She said, I let myself go. There's clearly something wrong with that, right? Step number 2. Well, what am I making this mean? That's how you get to know your fear. Well, if they think I'm letting myself go, then it can mean that I look ugly, that I look unhealthy, maybe my skin looks dry, maybe she doesn't like the way that I cut my hair, maybe there's something wrong here. Next question. Well, why is this so bad? That's how you get to know your limited beliefs. Well, if there's something wrong here, I might have another person walk away from me. I might not be good enough. I might not be worthy of this relationship. So it really starts to help trickle down to what's happening in here, right? This is why your mental health is so important, because it's how you start to perceive the world. So get curious, not furious. In fact, celebrate internally, unless you want to outwardly every time that you get upset by something, because it's an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to get to know yourself better, to understand what's really going on and peel back some of those layers. Now, of course, you're just sitting there with your limited belief, like, okay, well, I know that I think for some reason I'm not good enough, right? Well, you don't want to just sit with that. So step number 2 is to dismantle limited beliefs. And you can do that by asking these series of questions. I'm a big fan of Dr. Amen, and I studied an incredible course learning how to overcome anxiety, frustration, overwhelm. Yeah, he's amazing, right? And this is actually his series of questions. I'm going to answer questions at the very end. Dr. Amen. Yeah. AMEN. Oh, he's one of the instructors of IIT. And so you ask yourself, is it true that I am not worthy? And you know what? Some people at that moment, because of where they might be in life, they might actually say, yeah, I'm not good enough. There's something wrong with me. But you really want to go the next step and ask yourself, is it up? At that point, when you really ask yourself that, bring over, excuse me. But ultimately, you can't say with 100% certainty that you are not good enough. In fact, you might actually start finding all the reasons. Put my phone on do not disturb. It's giving me trouble. Sorry guys, on Zoom. One moment. Thank you guys for your patience. Here we go. Boom. All right, thank you, Zoom. Thank you guys. But this really allows you to realize, right, that certain things in our mind are more opinion than they are an actual hard fact. And now we can move on to how do I feel when I believe this thought that I'm like not good enough, right? And I'm just using this example, but you can definitely think for yourself of some that maybe you've identified for yourself. And of course, that's not going to make you feel good. So you go down to, well, what if you didn't have this thought? I'm sure that would feel amazing. That would be more empowered to maybe take action in my life in certain areas. And then you ask yourself, what's the exact opposite of this thought? Something like, I'm not good enough. Well, I am great enough. I am good enough. You just flip it. Now, the one thing that I want to point out here is that you never want to put a negative word with your reframing. So if you're saying something like, I'm untrustworthy, you don't want to say, I'm not untrustworthy. You would want to say, I can be trusted. So you want to always have positive language wherever you're reframing. And you want to use this as a meditation or journaling prompt, AKA you want to repeat this, rephrase as often as possible, thinking about it, shower, thinking about it, saying it, right? You want to drive and say, I am great enough, I am amazing. You want to really start to do this, because what happens is that it starts to reshift the way that you think. One of the beauties about your brain is that it is so flexible. And the more that it hears, the more that it actually adapts and creates. And that's why they say that your words, right, your thoughts become your perception, they become your reality. So really important in dismantling those limited beliefs and really helping you with coping with stress better. And then, of course, I told you that part of this is mindfulness and self-care. And self-care does really require that you play some sort of active role. And so this is where you want to make sure that you're taking steps and actually creating the life that you want now that you've learned what's really at the root, what's really causing the stressor. And so you want to ask yourself, well, what is the conflict that's actually happening? Well, someone said something negative about me and it didn't sit well. And I realized that I have an idea that I'm not good enough, but really it was good old auntie that pointed something out and now I don't feel so good. How does this impact my life? Well, maybe in that case, it has me lacking confidence in myself. It has prevented me in taking action steps towards things that will really help propel me in life. What's truly missing in this situation? What do I actually need? It could be a few things. It's really individual. In that case, it could be I can have a conversation with the person that said something. Hey, you know what? I've identified for myself that I need to work on how I feel about myself. And your words don't help me. And so I'd really appreciate if you can refrain from saying things like that to me. I want to have a good relationship here. And part of that requires that you please respect this request. Can you do that? Right? Could be having a conversation with auntie. Or it could actually be, you know what? Doesn't matter. I need to practice not letting other people. So I'm not even going to say anything to auntie. I'm going to respect her, keep loving her. But maybe what it really looks like is I need to learn what it is of myself and take better care of myself. And in that case, right, you might need to, what I like to call, date yourself. So a little challenge that I give a lot of my clients to get to know yourself. Take yourself out on dates. Do things for yourself, right? Start doing things that you haven't done in a really long time. So really figuring out what you need, but more importantly, like making sure that you take that step. Take the step to create it as a possibility and create the life that you really, really want for yourself. So these three were the most important, ultimately. Without these three, it's really hard to be mindful, to get to know yourself better, and to take steps towards improving how you cope with stress. Ultimately, anytime that you perceive something as a major stressor, if you really work on those three, it would make such a drastic difference right then and there. But obviously, we're all on different paths, right? You might be someone who's really good at managing stress, really coping with it in a good way. But maybe your friend or your partner or a colleague or your boss, maybe they're not. So you have to understand again that what they're reacting to, how they're behaving, is not because of you. You can't take that for yourself. And in fact, I encourage you to be graceful and loving and kind and understanding that they're battling the same internal conflicts, right, that you might be. And that they're responding to you from their perception that they're not good enough, that they're struggling with something. There's a fear there, right? I'm not loved. I can't trust. People always walk away from me. There's always so many conflicts there. So being kind to others, especially when they're being unkind, can really make a difference. In fact, it's one of the ways that you can actually impact those around you in a much positive and loving way. So remember that we are all on different paths. And because we are all on different paths, I also want to share additional practices that you can put in place during times of stress so that you can continue to cope with it and really change the way that your brain works and thinks. So another one is generate positivity by spreading compliments, not complaints. I'm sure if I ask all of you right now to think of someone that's known to be the Debbie Downer, you would have no problem. It would be like, boop, this person. We all know that. We all know that one person, right? Again, you can't take that for yourself. Not your problem to solve, but you do have a voice in saying, you know what? It sounds like you're having a really tough day. Why don't we switch and think about something positive? In fact, I've actually challenged some clients on a positivity challenge for 30 days. And it was so interesting how they transformed after those 30 days. What was really beautiful was also how the people around them transformed after those 30 days. In fact, people that were really negative stopped bothering him. You know, they were like, he's always so positive. Like, I can't go with him with my negativity when he's always so positive. So that changed. He was really surprised about that. There's somebody recent that I'm thinking about. Another thing that he noticed is that his partner started to be more positive. So really, that is a way that you can impact your environment. Focus on compliments, not complaints. What you're actually doing here is allowing your brain to actually think positive and see positive and have a more abundant mindset. So the next time that something happens, a stressor at work, you're like, all right, well, at least this didn't happen. Right? That's really how positivity can drastically change your life. Another one is to check how you think about others. This is a good one. Pay attention to the thoughts in your mind when you see someone, especially if they are not very kind. Nobody does that here, of course, right? None of us are judgmental, but just pay attention to yourself if that happens to happen. You know, those rare occasions. Because if you're being really harsh and judgmental towards others, I bet you are very critical of yourself. And this can only then impact how you speak about yourself. So you want to check how you're speaking about yourself too. This is part of that dating yourself, really loving yourself, right? How do you want your partner to treat you? That's how we should be treating ourselves. We shouldn't be walking past the mirror and saying, oh, what's going on there, right? Or somebody pays you a compliment and your response is, no, right? Check how you're speaking about yourself. And that's really as easy as when you hear yourself being a little negative, you can go ahead. And one of the best things that I actually like to suggest is when you hear yourself being negative, I teach my clients to say, cancel, nope, delete that. Nope, whether it's in your mind or it's out loud with somebody. Disregard I said that. What I really meant to say is, and put in something positive. Not only are you teaching that person to love themselves too, now you're teaching those behaviors, but your brain's gonna start getting really used to it. Like, oh, wait, nope, we can't say that. Nope, say this instead. It's a really great practice. I even do it with my kids, and it's really effective in changing how they think about themselves. Next one is find healthy outlets by trying new things. This is myself with my niece and nephew there. But essentially, you want to give yourself the space to explore new activities. You can't possibly learn something new, learn something positive for yourself, learn a new experience, and gain that confidence in yourself. Like, wow, I tried something new. This was fun. I had a good time. I was really good at it, right? It's a really great way to learn about yourself while also changing the way that you see the world, because fear is a big one that comes up for a lot of my clients. I can't do that. This is scary. Oh no, no way. Like I'll fail at that, right? But how will you know if you never actually try? And they always surprise themselves. And it feels so good when they actually do it. So try new things, especially the things that you're really judgmental about. That's a really humbling experience. All right, this one's probably a very easy one, but it's keeping a gratitude journal for daily practice. Gratitude, I mean, there's so much science behind this, so many studies and statistics. If you really want to rewire your brain, this is an easy way to do it. Instead of the world right now, it's always about problem, complaint, issue, fear. So naturally your brain starts to always point out what's wrong here, what's missing here. Gratitude starts to shift your mind so that you start seeing, ooh, I have this. Ooh, I have that. I can do this. I'm so grateful for this. And even during hard times, realizing that there's still so much beauty.
This is Rosemary. Huh.
Hi, can you hear me well? Oh, I'm just going to ask everybody on Zoom to please mute. And hello, Rosemary.
No.
And
I have all my pre-ups.
oh, hi, Rosemary. If you don't mind just putting yourself on mute. Awesome. Thank you. All right. Anybody here practice yoga? All right. Awesome. Kevin, do you see this one? Didi, did I show yours yet? Did I pass yours already? Yeah. No, not yet. Oh man, I might have. No, you look awesome. So yoga is really effective for a number of reasons, but one of my favorite is that you're holding sometimes really uncomfortable positions for a really long time. And you start getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And in times of chaos, right, it's usually that like uncomfortable feeling that we dislike and we want to run away from. But yoga teaches you it's good. Work through it. In fact, what do we really focus on in yoga? Breathing, boom, right? And so it actually teaches you during hard times or stress or chaos or overwhelm or whatever's happening, like, oh, it's okay. If I can hold that weird yoga position, I can do this, right? So yoga is really, really helpful. Now, I mean, I already kind of pointed out, but breathing especially is an incredible tool. But funny enough, this might sound weird, but most people are not good breathers. That's true. Yeah.
That's very true. I tell them all the time as well. Deep breath in and out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny that something that keeps us alive, that we do every day, all day, right? We're not necessarily so good at. In fact, I encourage you to pay attention to where you're breathing from right now. Nobody raised their hand. But paying attention to, are you breathing from your chest? Or are you breathing from your belly?
I breathe on my throat.
Yeah. Yeah, we become really short breathers, and this actually is not the way to do it. But luckily for you guys, I'm really passionate about teaching things the right way, but I'm also really passionate about making sure I have the best of the best teaching it the right way. And so for our special guest today, our wonderful Nicole Messick, owner of Balance Throughout. I'll really let you introduce yourself. You are absolutely incredible at what you do. I know from personal experience why I invited her. But passing it off to you, Nicole, tell us a little bit about who you are and guide us through some great breathing.
So, first and foremost, I want to thank Rosie. I think this is amazing. I practice once a month, and I'm just so grateful to be a part of it. Like Rosie said, I had just opened up my own studio called Balance Throughout in Westwood. I do have a sign-in sheet up on the table. And so if you haven't signed in, sign in. If you would like, send out newsletters once a month. So if you'd like to do that. And I'm also doing a little giveaway. So if your name is there, you can be a part of that. I also do yoga. So at the studio, I do everything yoga. I'm a yoga therapist first and foremost. So the difference between being a yoga teacher and a yoga therapist is I work one-on-one with people. And so I don't know, you know, when you think of yoga, you kind of think which is great. It's a huge part of yoga, but yoga has many different sheets, many different layers of it. And so meditation can be a layer. So when I'm working with people, sometimes we're not moving. Sometimes we're breathing. Sometimes we're meditating. Sometimes we're just doing what that person needs internally. So from that, my teaching license or certification to be a yoga teacher as well. I do trapeze yoga. I do gravity yoga. I just started group sessions, small group. My place is kind of small, so I cap it at 8 people, which I kind of like because being a therapist, I kind of like guiding people through things. And so there's a lot of people that don't like to go to yoga because of, you know, they can't keep up or they can't go through the movements. And I kind of like being one-on-one with people. And when I have small group, I can do that. I also am an occupational therapist. I work next door from my business at Breast Rehabilitation and Healing Center. So I do work with people post-mastectomy. And so during, through that, I also got certified to be a lymphedema therapist. So I knew that everybody needed lymphatic drainage. And so in my own practice, I do people that have not necessarily had surgery or cancer, but just to come in and get the lymphatic drainage themselves. And if you don't know what that is, we can talk about it, or you can even go on my website. I have a whole page of how that helps you. I got certified to do stick mobility, and I'm also a stretch therapist. So I kind of integrated everything just because I'm all about the whole body, and I just really feel that everybody kind of needs a little bit of something and a little bit of everything, and that just completes you. So it took off, but I'm here today to go over how to breathe properly. But before I do, I just want to tell you a little story. Many years ago, when I was a little bit younger, I had went to a yoga retreat. I took the bus from New York City to Massachusetts. Great drive, great experience. The retreat was fabulous. I loved it. It was a week-long retreat. I learned a lot about philosophy. I learned a lot about meditation. I learned a lot about yoga in general. Great teachers. I just felt very zen. I felt very comfortable, very relaxed. Just, you know, when those good days when you wake up, those good mornings, and you're like, I can conquer the world. And I felt like I could really, really conquer the world. And I said to myself, I'm going to go back home and I'm going to teach everybody what I've learned. And I'm just going to, you know, this is going to be a great experience for myself, but also what I can give back. So I took the bus there, had to take the bus back. Being on the bus, driving, a man got on the bus. He was not having a good experience for whatever reason. He was drinking. He was drinking a 6-pack, a 12-pack, and he just kept drinking. And the longer that he would drink, he started to get very loud, very abusive to the bus driver. Started telling the bus driver that he needed to get off the bus, that he needed to stop the bus. The bus driver said, "We can't stop the bus. We can't do that." Started becoming very belligerent. He was definitely ruining my zen that I had just experienced, right? So fear, anxiety, everything just kind of came, you know, my nervous system went through the roof. So I was in that flight or flight response, and I had the tools, I just learned them, but in that moment, I just went blank. So it wasn't until after, like the following day, we let this gentleman off. Finally, the bus driver couldn't take it anymore, and he let the guy off the bus. It wasn't until like the next couple of days where I really started to think, from that experience. How could I have done that differently? I just spent a week-long retreat learning so many different skills. What could have I done differently in that moment? So talking to other people, my mentors at the time, they started to tell me, when you have that, experience of anxiety and just kind of being overwhelmed, think about like, Rose Emily had talked about being aware, being awareness and bringing that situation back into your own body. What was my body feeling? Because I was feeling my stomach was kind of started to hurt and I was getting sweaty. And, instead of thinking to myself, is he going to pull out a gun? Is he going to do this? And thinking all of these things that he could have done, instead, I might have brought all of those sensations and stayed with those sensations, right? So not kind of tried to like get past it, but then stayed in the moment. So it's really important that when you're feeling a certain way, you are listening to your body. What is my body going through? Instead of, what is the reality? Because the reality of life is I was not going to stay in that blissful state forever, right? I learned how to be there, but I mean, it's nice when you're feeling good, it's great, but is that life? No, I mean, things happen in life. So when they do happen to you, try to listen to your own body, stay within your own body and listen, physically, and pick up the tools that you learn along the way. So now that's exactly what I do. Now I've been practicing many years since then. And when I am feeling certain ways throughout the days, I go back to breath work. Works for you, great meditation. If moving, something to get out of that state of mind. And then as the weeks went by, I just really started thinking about this man and his suffering. And I started actually feeling bad for him. Like he was really having a bad day and what was making him, do the things that he was doing. So then I started feeling sorry for him. And, but it was one experience that was to the extreme, right? Because when you don't know what's going to happen when you're to you, your nervous system kind of takes over. So I was in fight or flight. I wanted to bring myself back down to parasympathetic nervous system, right? Which is like your rest and digest. So maybe I could have done a little breathing in that moment. So that's what I'm going to go and teach you today. Okay. So like Rose Emily said, we breathe wrong, right? So I work with a lot of people. I'm also a breath coach. One of the things that I do is I test how people breathe. So a lot of people are chest breathers. So do you ever see a baby breathe? Babies breathe from their abdomen. So we once knew how to breathe properly. And then as we get older, we forget how to breathe, especially when we're in that flight or fight mode, right? We start breathing very heavy, start to hyperventilate. That's why when you start to hyperventilate, they give you the bag to slow your breath, right? Because your breath, that's not a good way to breathe. But one of the ways that is really, really good and helps you come down into your parasympathetic is belly breathing. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to do a little breathing. So I want you to put one hand on your chest. I want to put one hand on your belly. And without kind of maneuvering your breath, just take a couple of deep breaths. Don't try to change the way that you're breathing. Just take a deep breath in and then a deep breath out. And then after a couple of times, I want you to bring your awareness now to your breath. Where do you feel yourself breathing? Do you feel your chest breathing or do you feel your core breathing? Your chest, core. Okay. Could be a mix. Well, so if you're breathing from your belly, your inhalation goes all the way up to your accessory muscles, which is by the collarbone. So your chest does take part of it, but it's secondary. So your primary breathing should come from your abdomen, but we don't walk around like that. Awareness is not, okay, I'm going to walk around, I'm going to like breathe from my belly. Nobody really does that, right? So you're going to just breathe how you breathe. But like Rose Emily was saying, everything takes practice, right? So this is a tool. So just breathing, practicing breath, and then eventually you just start to breathe like that, okay? So You're going to breathe, take a nice deep breath in for the count of 4. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale out for the count of 6. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So on the inhale, I want you to bring the breath to your belly for 1, 2, 3, 4. And now exhale out for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And again, take a nice deep breath in. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale out. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then relax and breathe normal. Was that hard for anybody to do, the count? So if it wasn't hard for you, what I want you to try to do next on your own time, when you go home or tomorrow, is try to increase the exhalation. So the ratio should be 4 to 8. So I always start with 6, because if somebody can't do 8, then all of a sudden now they become, oh my gosh, I can't do it. And I don't want anybody to feel like that tonight. So what I would like you to do is count, inhale for 4, exhale out for 8. And then why should you do this? Again, it's to come down into your parasympathetic, your rest and digest. That breath is very good to do before bedtime. So if you need a little extra sleep, go ahead and do that breath, practice that breath. And it's also really good to do before a meal, right? Because you don't ever want to go into your meal. I mean, and I'm sure Rose Emily has talked about this. It's never good to go into a meal and just start pigging out, and then you're watching television and you're talking to this person, because you're not enjoying your meal. You're not digesting your meal either, right? So before you eat your meal, try to do that breath a couple of times. It will do wonders for your digestive system. Okay, so if anybody would like any other practices or coaching on breath work, I have my cards and my trifolds up there. You can email me, call me, and that's how you can get in touch with me. I don't know if you want to talk about the little giveaway or maybe you can do that.
So definitely make sure that you finish the sheet that we have on there with your first name and your email, right? That's all that was needed.
Yeah, first name and email.
Awesome. That way you can enter the giveaway. And that giveaway is, would you like to share it?
So she asked me if I wanted to give something away. I said, absolutely. I love giving things away. So I was going to say like a 30-minute stretch, because people usually don't stretch on their own, right? Even my athletes, they do not stretch. So, but I thought, thinking about that, I'm going to have you choose. So it could be anything that I offer up to 30 minutes. So for free. So you can come and see me. If it's not trapeze yoga, I will even come here to the Y and perform the service for you for 30 minutes if you can't come to Westwood. Okay, so if you're interested in that, make sure that you put your name and your email. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut cut it up and then just put everything, do like a raffle, like put it in a hat and pick.
Amazing.
What's stick will do?
So stick mobility, you actually use sticks. So it acts like leverage. So it gives you leverage to get into certain poses. It also gives you a little bit of feedback, neurofeedback. You could also use it as a tool for isometric exercises. So it is a strengthening tool as well. They come in different sizes, but basically I'm all about movement, right? Because movement is so important to the body. The sticks help you get into a deeper stretch. And it's just a really, really fun little tool. But I don't know if I have any, I do have some images. So if you go on my website, I do have some images of people using the sticks.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Awesome. Yeah, it's so funny again how something as simple as breathing that we should be doing every day multiple times can really be something that we just don't know how to do so well. And it really makes a difference when you have somebody that's coaching you. And like she said, the more you practice, the better that you get at it. And thank you for including about how good it is for your digestion. Also very, very, very true. Awesome. Now, another technique in helping you cope with stress, especially if you're finding that, man, I'm trying it all and I just can't seem to like really relax myself. It's considering holistic practices, and that includes things like acupuncture or even chiropractic adjustments, right? The way that, if you really think about it, when your body is under stress, when you are under that sympathetic nervous system, then there's a lot that's happening. There's a lot of tension that you're feeling everywhere. I mentioned how it can manifest physically as well, right? Around your neck, your shoulders. And so when it comes to chiropractic adjustments, that's like a really, really big one. It allows the flow of circulation to really take place. It has your muscles like less tense. And so that's a really huge difference. And you would think that it's really, has anybody done any chiropractic adjustments before or acupuncture? Okay, awesome. So there's a good amount. Awesome. And how would you typically say that you feel after it takes place?
Love it.
Right? It's pretty amazing, I have to say. Now, what's really exciting for today is that I told you that we were going to have two special guests. And so not only did we have somebody teach us how to like breathe, so thank you, but we also have Mr. Dr. Dylan DiLorenzo, who is also an incredible chiropractic doctor. I walk away very happy. And when it comes to this, I think my number one tip or feedback is to not just go to anybody, right? You definitely want somebody that is reputable. You want somebody that really knows what they're doing, because if not, you can really regret it after. This is one of those that even when I have my clients, I definitely recommend ask your friends, ask people like, hey, do you know somebody, rather than kind of going to Google and just randomly going to somebody. So that would definitely be a major tip that I share. But what's really awesome about today is that not only is Dr. Dylan going to talk a little bit, but he's also choosing someone who is willing to actually get adjusted today. So I'm going to pass it off to him to introduce himself. And, just being cognitive of the time here, I think because of some delays, for sure. We might go a little past 8, so if you guys are comfortable with that, we can definitely stay. And I understand if, unfortunately, because of time, you have to go. I respect and I understand it, but we're going to keep the party going a little bit. So come on over, introduce yourself.
I'm Mr. Dr. Dylan. I'm going to open this up over here because I guess it would be better for when we're ready for everybody to stand around. I got 7 dogs at my house. You might have some dogs here and there. 5 of them puppies. So who currently gets adjusted? Besides my patients over here. You do. When was the last time you got adjusted? How often do you go? Would you want to be my participant today?
I would love to, not mind the fact that I just can't do that.
I like sweaty. We have a pen. Can you just fill out like a legal document?
Yes, he's amazing.
I'm living with
Yeah. And on Zoom, I saw that you mentioned wanting Nicole's information. So actually, while they're getting set up there, what I'm going to do is share that really quick. So you're welcome to take a screenshot, write it down, and that way you have that information.
Definitely not just you.
Awesome. Ooh, and if you are in Jersey,
Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Nicole actually just shared that.
You know where you are.
Nicole just shared that if you are in New Jersey, you can go ahead and send her an email. You can get that from balanceithrougut.com, and she'll include you in the giveaway. So that's awesome. That's for anybody that is on Zoom that is also in New Jersey.
Sorry, I was shouting.
No, you're good.
I decided to go with a chiropractor when I was 24. My dad was like, no more partying, you're done. Go be a doctor or a lawyer. And I said, well, I want to be a Coast Guard, or I want to be a motorcycle mechanic. He was like, you're not going to make any money doing that. Go be a doctor or a lawyer. So I ended up being a chiropractor because I got chiropractic care and saved my butt more than once. When Percocet or whatever didn't, I was amazed by chiropractic. Not by just any chiropractor, but by the guy that did applied kinesiology, you know, the muscle test and nutrition, fixed me in one visit. And I was in pain for weeks, 3 weeks. I went through 180 Percocet. I was playing Madden all day, sitting at home on Percocets. And he's like, why don't you go see Paul? I'm like, who's Paul? This guy Paul, my chiropractor, Paul Laureate. So I did, and he muscle tested me, put B5 in my mouth. I don't know what he did. The next day I was literally 90% better back to the gym. I suffered a stinger from leg pressing. So went through college. That was exciting. And I saved that whole thing for another session. Early on in when I graduated, I really didn't know anything. Just knew like basically that I had drive. And I wanted to fix people. I thought that was cool. And I really loved the science behind it. I knew chiropractic wasn't going to fix everything. And I kind of was like, there's no way that this person's going to get better. And I see people coming in 3 times a week for years and they weren't better. And it was like, well, what is this? Like, you would just give me money? Like, well, are you bullshitting them? Or because I work for people. And I started to, get into supplements and nutrition. It was kind of like just like a this for that. Oh, just take this because it's good for you. Take that because it's good for you. That developed into seeing people sick and dying in the practice I was working for. And it was terrible because the guy that I worked for wasn't doing anything about it. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. This guy's a doctor and he's ignoring the whole thing. You're just crappy people. You're sending them to your other business and that's it? Like I didn't go to school for this. I went to school to like cure diseases. You can't say that. That's what I went to school for. It's not what I do. Disclaimer. So I developed a functional medicine program. I got tired of seeing people die of diseases that are, number 1, preventable, and 2, reversible. And that's when I developed functional medicine and I started doing people's blood work. And I started doing all these things and asking questions. And I developed not only just chiropractic, but functional medicine. It's not everybody that comes into my practice is a chiropractic patient. Chiropractic might not fix their problems. So I'm smart enough to figure out, probably within 5 visits, if their chiropractic's going to help them or not. 90% of people that come into my practice are 100% better within 5 visits. The other, however many percent, they're 15, 20 visits, or I just like at visit 3, you're a functional medicine patient and chiropractic. So no matter what you need, whether it's a massage, stretching, acupuncture, I tell you what it is, and if I can provide it for you, then I can do it. If not, go somewhere else, get fixed, you'll always come back. That's my objective. I practice with a chip on my shoulder, I have a grudge. I can't get into that. So yeah, against certain people that don't do anything about illnesses. They're so easy to get, like diabetes and blood sugar and like statins and medications and stuff. We all had sick parents. We all watched people die. I have a guy right now who's best friends with my father. Their brother got a 3-week death sentence, and they're accepting it. My dad's like, you should really go see my son. I'm like, just drive up to North Jersey and go see him. And they're like, no, we've been to the best doctors. So you're just basically accepting the fact that you saw the creme de la creme and they said there's nothing you can do. So what good are you then? we're in the United States of America, we're supposed to be the most powerful medical country in the entire world, but yet we're the sickest. 85% of our antibiotics goes to our agricultural system, and we sit here and drink milk off the shelves. Like, what are we doing? I just had a 12-year-old girl. I had to tell, she didn't even know what milk was. She said, oh, I drink milk all the time. I'm like, you know even what it is? That was why I was late. Or on time.
Perfectly on time. Perfectly on time.
And not everybody wants to hear this stuff, and that's fine. I'll just adjust you, and if you can deal with me and I can deal with you, I'll adjust you. If not, go to the guy down the street, takes your insurance, and go 3 times a week for the rest of your life, and then I'm getting extra. It's fine. It's an option. Okay. Is that?
That really.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's.
I work with him for a reason. I love it. Yeah. Yeah.
It's changed my father's life.
Amen.
My dad's off of metformin. My dad's
Amazing.
blood pressure medication has been down by 50%.
Wow.
His stamina is different. Well, I mean, again, this
No more
or
statin.
anything, but no more statin as well. Yes. that's
Amazing.
good. And no more cancer.
Amen.
And then you know what he does? You know what he does? He comes into the practice the other day, and he's like, look at I get off all my supplements.
I love it.
That's very true. But science has helped us a lot in my father's healing. He's continuing to heal right now, but we have never seen his health take this turn with allopathic medicine. And we're very happy where he is right now. He's very happy.
He was motivated. I sat down with him in my practice. I looked him dead in the eye after looking at his blood work, and it just came out what I said. And he said, looks at his daughter and goes, let's do it.
Yeah.
Like, shit, let's do it. It was so easy. I didn't even have to convince anybody to do anything. It was just, this is what's going to happen. This is what's happening. Here's what you need to do. And then none of this you ever have to worry about again. And it happened in what? We found out in 2 months. No more.
Yep, we found out, so it was.
It was an incidental
Right,
finding.
right.
Yeah. I had to argue with his doctor to try to find where his ED was coming from.
Yeah, if you have time, I'll tell you a little bit of background. So my father's cancer is bladder cancer that has metastasize to the liver and to the lung. And with that being said, we were losing hope by the minute, by the day, but there is a little resilience in him. He wants to live, and I want him to live, and we all do. So, with us trying several different avenues of chemotherapy to removing bladder to immunotherapy that didn't succeed in the cancer spreading grew to the point that we said we just are welcoming, you said it before, death sentence. We don't know what's going to ask. What's his expectancy? What's this? What's that? No answer. I stumbled onto billing through Travis. So I walked into there and he was like, Sarah, listen, there's no promise to anything, but I promise you I will give you my best in this situation. And here we are. So
Amazing.
And we also used a couple other doctors that had things that I couldn't provide. That's fine with me.
Yeah.
I'll send you wherever you need to go. No, not adjust.
Functional medicine supplements. Supplements have helped him. And obviously, all the blood work, taking a look at seeing like, okay, what's he deficient in? What's low? What's high? What's happening? His glucose. This is the most important thing because it's an indication of how much inflammation is in your body. So that's one thing that he educated me on, and I took on to really just implement it on my father. And everything he said is actually not just 100% correct, 1,000% correct, with how it actually had an effect on my dad. To the point that my mom, who never believed in anything, you know that, she's taking a turn now and she's following footsteps of what my father did. Because she's like, well, how can he stand for 6 hours straight and I can't? So this is where we're at now. We're very, very, very happy and very
Amazing.
My husband, who is considered in Iraq, doctors told him that he's going to still considerate and probably not be able to lose his leg. And he doesn't believe in all of this stuff, but we have him believing now, and he's back and he's feeling better. So the adjustments are holding for a longer period at this point. And he feels tired, which is good, because all the crap's kind of moving.
Flushing out.
That stress, that emotion, garbage, the tags, the labels, all that stuff, that none of this system does to it's on its way out.
Amazing.
Right.
Right. Dylan, Mr. Dylan. Give me a problem that you have.
So I work on the OT motorcycles and specifically, so a lot of the time on ladders, with bending. This is usually me all day, stuff like this with signs.
Yeah.
Do like to work out as well. I like to challenge myself, so sometimes they're heavy.
Your low back.
Lower back, right now is super tight. Even up there. You're gonna feel everything. Everything is super tight.
You go for chiropractic twice a week, times a
I
week.
was going every other week. Because I don't have any insurance currently, so I paid every. So I referred to a friend. I've been seeing him, but I have mixed feelings about him.
How many visits are you in?
So I'm in probably, I took a break off because I've seen him maybe about 15 times. 15 times in a span.
How much percent better are
It varies. So when they asked, how do you guys feel about chiropractic? The last visit that I've been to, I walked in that morning when I woke up. I've also broke half the month. That morning when I woke up, I could barely stand or get up. I couldn't move from my hips. I had a heavy workout. Work. I've broken everything from my knees down. Bad car accident. And I could not walk down. I called him on a Sunday morning. I said, I need to see him. Right?
you? So he's a good guy.
He's a great
And
guy.
he's helped you,
He's helped.
but it's plateaued.
But it's plateaued. Right? And so that day I went in.
Do the same thing.
That's and you know what? I feel like I'm not getting that individuality where I see. You know what it is? I feel like because I'm young, he's like, oh, you're healthy, you know. I
How
feel
long is
like
the visit?
it could be an hour, but that is because I'm on electronic stim for like 30 minutes. So he leaves me on electronic stim while he has 1, 2, 3, 4 other patients coming in to his other groups.
All right, what, your shoulder hurts or your back hurts?
Lower back, shoulder blades, neck.
So I'm just gonna show you guys what I do. That's it. This is what I would do on my first visit. Take the glasses off.
Take your hat off.
Hat off, your pockets, throw them on. Throw them at Rose.
I'm kind of
Don't throw them.
Any screws or rods or stones or
I have screws.
anything in your spine?
Nothing in the back.
This way. Lean this way. Lean this way. Left straight, right? Left high hip, high here. So low, low. That's a phase 2 compensation. Phase 2 crowd. It's called the temporal sphenoidal line. Line.
See everybody's.
Come to the cope with stress class to spike your. Oh.
I also worked out shoulders hard yesterday. We had a hard workout today. Yeah.
Hold it right here. Push up.
Oh, so
That's all too. Hold up here. Push up. That's all too. So there's a bilateral delta between weakness and surrounds the anterior weakness. So he's got no shoulder stability, no shoulders, nothing. So everything up here is going to fall apart.
I noticed most of my life I had most heaviness, whereas this arm I could go all the way around. This one I could barely get up there. And even with all my workouts, presses, anything, like
Yeah, click.
wait, so I just like that.
Hold here. Do a bicep throw. That's right here. Bicep throw.
Now,
Touch the back of your neck. That's right. So you have a mid-cervical fixation. The middle of your neck is stuck to itself, and the lower neck is stuck to the upper thoracic spine. Let's line your back face up.
This up?
Yeah. So what we want to do is break this stuff up and then track this progress through the muscles that were previously weak. Visit 2, 3, 4. Everything should strengthen and stay on. If it doesn't, and my exam leads to maybe mention nutrition, or I see a ileocecal valve, or I ask him something about his diet and see his liver needs to be flushed, or his kidneys, or his infection, or viral, or whatever, we also fix that stuff very quickly too. I'm not gonna wait till it's 5. So as I see something within reason, we'll have to address it. Keep your hands on the side of your body. Push this up. I'm pushing down. Nothing. So that's totally blown out. That's your low back right there. And most likely it's coming from an upper cervical fixation.
Oh.
No low back function. So as muscles attached to each side of the lumbar spine. When you break your neck, where do you lose function? Anybody?
The hands.
From your waist down.
From your waist down?
Depending on what spinal tract, but most likely propel that waist down. This is why the neck is so important. I'm not just going to adjust his neck because I want to adjust his neck. This is what's showing up. So you need your neck adjusted. I'm going to adjust your neck for you.
Okay. Also just laying down also hurts too.
Okay.
I'm a side sleeper because I.
With your right hand, touch this occiput. Left hand, touch that occiput. Push up. Okay. So we got a side. Take that side off. Push up. So right occipital fixation.
I hear that.
All right, I'm gonna adjust your occipital for you. Is that, am I mic where you can hear this crack? Okay, cool. Can I adjust your occipital for you? Do you guys want to gather around so you can see this? Or are you comfortable right there?
Thank you, Ray.
So you'll just want to point something out here for those of you guys that go to chiropractors. You're gonna see everywhere they do this, and then they go whack,
Oh my God.
and then they go this way, whack. That does not follow the rules of coupled motion in the spine. It's not the correct way to do it. It's not the correct way to do it. This is the correct way to do it.
AKA, don't try this on anybody, please. Just making sure that I'm saying that.
Oh. Wow. I'm nuts. You were really jammed. Wow. This is pretty.
Push up.
I can't believe that doing that with my legs. It's crazy.
It's the cuneatus gracilis trap.
Exactly. You know.
Push up. And that's on. So now what we want to do is have you go face down. Let's find the other 2 fixations. If that didn't clear them all out. Sorry, I didn't have face paper.
COVID. Put it on my hands.
Anywhere. So your posterior on the left. And you're stuck at the bottom, so sit up for me, please.
Which way?
Just sit on your butt.
Okay.
If I had a different table, I'd be able to adjust your face down and break this. Turn your legs, face the crowd. So I'm going to adjust your mid-cervical and cervical dorsal fixation in your neck. Okay?
They feel so good. Whoa.
That was my mistake. I should have got it on that side in the first place. I just
How does it feel?
arms out to the side like the line. Push up. So now your deltoids are on. There's no bullshit.
What a difference, yeah.
Come on. Over here. Push up. And that's on too. Move this arm. See if it changed your range of motion.
Wow, yeah.
It definitely feels better. I could tell the difference, but I do still feel like obviously this is just like a 5-minute thing. Obviously, this is something that you do keep going. But
So your entire neck from your skull all the way down to your thoracic spine is stuck, inhibiting your low back and your neck. Let's go back now, face down. See what else you got left.
I could definitely feel it. Like releasing my neck. Like I'm used to living like this. Now I'm just living like I feel like I have weight on me all the time and can't feel my neck. This is crazy. Okay, am I in the right place?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you get this kind of treatment?
No. No. I feel like I get rushed out. The doctor's a good guy, but I feel like he's rushing me. Yeah, he's a nice guy.
I think you're divorcing your friend.
Super tight.
Bend this leg, and push into me. On touch right here. For therapy localization, make a trip go back next. No bullshit. Then here. That's on. Take that away. So whatever is in this hip, we're gonna find what needs to be adjusted. It's gonna turn that hamstring. Then here. Push. This side up. So laying your right side. We're gonna literally adjust your ass bone. It's called an issue of fibrosity, where your hamstring attaches.
I love this one.
Right?
You do? Yes. Oh my goodness.
That does feel really good.
It's relaxing.
He does all that to me. At first I was freaking out.
One little tiny
There's
crack.
another one with this,
Go
like,
back face down. It doesn't always have to be. Sometimes you don't even feel it or hear it. Bend here.
We've been going.
Push back.
So.
Nice. There
We
you
can go
go.
through proprioceptive techniques for this too. Bend here. Push back.
Probably twice a week, like training now.
So now your hamstrings out.
So I
So
leave
proprioceptive technique.
it.
So when you flex it, it turns off.
Should I be flexible? No. It's all right. Sorry if my feet stink.
Bend. Bend.
Oh,
So you got a myofascial dolosis and a strain counter strain. So his muscle spindles and his Golgi tendons are not communicating with each other. When he flexes his quad, his hamstring doesn't know to relax, and vice versa. So if you think of spaghetti while you're holding it, it's glued and heated together. That's myofascial dolosis. This is how you break it up. You have a proprioceptive problem. Vitamins and minerals fix this kind of stuff. Literally like a multivitamin.
I also am currently not taking any multivitamins. I'm just doing ashwagandha.
Fish oil is good.
Yeah,
You need like 10 a day.
I've been doing like 4 a day because I don't usually eat fish like that. I have kind of a sensitivity.
Look back. Good. Flex this 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hold. Back. That's called a repeated muscle activation. Patient is probably failed out of vitamin. You can also check for iron and omega and all these other things.